21-3 was the score the Denver Broncos had going against the Washington Commanders. And they end up losing this game 35-33. It came down to a Hail Mary that was completed by Russell Wilson. He goes for a 2-point conversion. Jerry Jeudy is wide open on the right side of the field. Wide open. But we know what happens when Russell Wilson is so condensed in this goal line situation. When he's been with the Broncos, he always looks for Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton was held. The refs did not call it. Throws the ball. It's incomplete. Now, you may ask yourself, Russell Wilson cost the team a game because Jerry Jeudy was wide open, should have given him the ball. And it's not that black and white. Russell Wilson, going into halftime, was 6 for 8, 154 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Looked good. He looked good. This is one of the best games he's played with the Denver Broncos ever. I'm not going to blame Russell Wilson for this loss. I'm going to blame offensive line protection and coaching. Now, could Russell Wilson done more later in this game to help out? Sure, he could have. But at this point with Russell Wilson, you take what you could get. You definitely take a game like this because we will never get that Russell Wilson back that was with the Seattle Seahawks. That Russell Wilson is long gone. And we saw glimpses of that today. He was 18-32 in the day, 308 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he got sacked 7 times. I think it's time for a full rebuild if this season doesn't pan out. They traded for Russell Wilson because they thought they were a quarterback away from winning it all. They're more than just a quarterback away. The offensive line protection isn't good. The wide receivers are there, but they're not living up to potential right now. Russell Wilson was the leading rusher for this team after they gave Javonte Williams only 12 carries on the day for 44 yards. Sean Payton, so far, the system is working better. He's helping out Russell Wilson, but it's not resulting into wins. And it's not on their offense why they're not winning football games. Their defense has been a main staple with this team ever going back to when they had Von Miller and they were crushing Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. This team has been known for defense, and that's why they went out and traded for Russell Wilson. They had that young, aggressive defense. Even last season, that defense looked phenomenal. This team has regressed in all fashion, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They no longer have their former defensive coordinator. He's now with the Carolina Panthers. No, not as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator. You may ask yourself, okay, so what happened? Sean Payton wanted to bring in his own guys. This is where I'm going to give Sean Payton blame. He wanted to bring in Rex Ryan. That fell through. He looked back and say, hey, Vance Joseph, you have former ties to this team. You were the former head coach of this team. Let's bring you back as a defensive coordinator. Today, Vance Joseph's defense was terrible. It was horrible. They got 4 sacks today on Sam Howell, but they let up 300 passing yards, and they got ran through like it was nothing. They collapsed in the second half, and I'm going to tell you why they collapsed in the second half. Eric Bieniemy, a real coach, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, came out with an adjusted system from what he did in the first half with Sam Howell and crew. He kept those guys in check. He adjusted his game plan. Vance Joseph came in, the defensive coordinator. Let's run the same thing that worked in the first half. And they got ran through over and over again. After the first drive, the Commanders go down there and score 7. Guess what he does again? The same exact defense. And it kept getting exposed over and over again. And this defense is undisciplined, something that usually doesn't happen with the Denver Broncos defenses. Usually their defenses are sound, they're in sync. That's no longer the case. And we can't blame the players because Patrick Surtain's one of the best corners in the league. I love Justice Simmons at the safety position. Kareem Jackson is a good veteran safety. He had a horrible play in this game when he went head-to-head with Logan Thomas. And they had their pass rushers on go mode today. Their pass rusher was able to go home and get sacks. So it's not a case of them not having the talent. They have the talent. The coaching is letting this team down. They're an overpaid mess. They went out, traded for Russell Wilson, gave all those picks. Last season was a nightmare. This team's in a dangerous situation. I think that if this season doesn't work, because we're only 2 games in, they can turn this thing around and this team can still go into the playoffs and be a scary team. But if they can't turn this thing around after this season, you just need to rebuild everything. Just tear it down and rebuild. And I'm not saying trade guys like Patrick Surtain because those are some young cornerstone players you have on this team. But just take a look at this roster. They brought in Mike McGlinchey. They brought in Ben Powers. They tried to quote unquote fix his offensive line. Russell Wilson gets sacked 7 times. I understand you could say he's holding on to the football for too long. He's rushing himself into sacks. Not all sacks are created equal. That is true. But majority of the time, that's not true. He's getting pressured a lot still. And he did everything he could today to get this team to win. But that last play of the game to where Jerry Jeudy was wide open to the right side, it definitely shows that Russell Wilson cannot see the field in short yardage situations still. And attacking the middle of the field is basically a non-concept in this Sean Payton system. Everything is outside. Because when you look at the wide receiving numbers for this team the last couple of weeks, it's either the running backs leading the charge, or if a wide receiver does lead the charge, they're getting big plays. Marvin Mims on the side, a Baker Street route, gets a 60-yard touchdown. He had 2 catches for 113 yards. After that was Cortland Sutton, 5 catches for 66 yards. Most of the routes that they're running are underneath routes. They're not throwing the ball that deep anymore. And Brandon Johnson came in. He looked fine. He had 2 catches for 66 yards. He had the 50-yard completion as well. But they're not traditionally going to throw the ball deep every single time. In order for them to fix this, I would say get rid of Vance Joseph. Yes, 2 weeks in, because I already know how his defensive systems look. He was the former head coach with this team. I know how his defensive systems look. It's not going to be pretty because he doesn't want to adjust. He's stubborn as a coach. I think they can still turn this thing around, but right now this was a disappointing loss, and it was annoying because the fact that Russell Wilson went out there and played maybe his best game for the Denver Broncos, and it doesn't mean anything. And he just brought in a brand new head coach that was looked at as the guy that helped create Drew Brees, and it seems like it's not working. It's not clicking right now. Hopefully they can turn this thing around because they have too much talent for them to be in this situation, and definitely too much talent and veterans on this team for them to be blowing a 21-3 lead. So let me know in the comment section below. Am I completely off the mark about this team? Let me hear it in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.